The latest appointee to the board, the school board of trustees, that is, a gentleman by the name of Lawrence R. Sykes. Who is Lawrence R. Sykes, better known as Larry Sykes? Well, let's find out.
Let's get it popping.
I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, we discuss the new appointee to the school board of trustees here in the city of Yonkers. Who is Larry Sykes? A man with a long history here in the city, specifically involved with the schools. Let's talk about it, folks. Good evening, good evening. Good evening, folks. How you doing? Freddie Vasquez here at Basement Politics. Wasn't on last night. Didn't feel good actually all day yesterday. So wasn't able to make it on, but I am tonight, and I wanted to discuss the recent appointment of Lawrence R. Sykes to the school board of trustees. He was appointed by the mayor recently, and he is going to be replacing Andrea Brown, depending how you say it, for the position there. But who is Larry Sykes? And I want to talk about Larry R. Sykes for a little bit here. He has a long history here in the city of Yonkers, going back to the desegregation era back in the mid to late 80s here in the city of Yonkers. Many may not remember, if you're young, but those who do remember, that was a turbulent time for the city of Yonkers. They actually made a show about it on HBO. It was called Show Me a Hero. And the whole issue was with the segregation of schools, right? Kids, Black, minorities, Hispanic kids were kept to certain schools in the southwest side, while other white students were in the better schools in the north and the northeast side of Yonkers, right? It also had to do with the housing segregation and where the majority of the developments for affordable and low-income housing were developed. And believe it or not, I personally believe that this is still happening today. I personally do. I believe that this is still going on, and I'll discuss that in a little bit. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background of Larry Sykes. And when I heard about Larry Sykes, before I actually knew his race, right? I'm reading about him and the fact that he defended one of the individuals who was for the continuation of this segregation. And then I saw his race, and I found out that he was Black, and I was confused. I said, he's Black? And he was in support of one of the defendants that was being sued by the United States as well as the NAACP. Yes, that's right, folks. He defended a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Longo, and I'll discuss him in a bit here. But I want to talk about Larry Sykes. Larry Sykes is an attorney. Recently, again, like I mentioned, appointed to the Board of Education, Board of Trustees to replace Andrea Brown. According to the mayor, he helps bring a unique perspective to the position. Larry joins, the board with an in-depth knowledge, expertise in public and private law, compliant and diversifying our exemplary board. He complements and diversifies our exemplary board. All right. So the mayor has faith in him. He feels like he's going to bring a unique perspective as an attorney, as if there weren't attorneys prior on the board. Many of you may remember a woman by the name of Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, who went on to become city council president. She too was an attorney. His unique perspective in what? In the whole desegregation issue, because he did represent one of the defendants, right? Mayor believes he will be a valuable asset. Well, who is Larry Sykes? Again, a parent of 4 former Yonkers Public School students. He thanked the mayor for the opportunity to serve on the board of trustees. He's very familiar with the city of Yonkers. He's been the counsel for the YIDA and the Community Development Board, as well as other areas within our city government. So he's very involved and has been for a while. What qualifies Larry Sykes to be on the board, right? And this is just in general, what qualifies an individual to sit on the school board of trustees? What gives them the the okay or the green light to be appointed, how are they going to benefit the schools here in the city of Yonkers? And if they have no children that are currently attending, are they having a true vested interest, right? If their kids don't go there. And I know there have been school board members that have had children or school-age kids, and they weren't attending the Yonkers public school. They were going to a private school, right? So I believe personally that all school board trustee members should have currently children attending the public schools in order to become appointed. I also believe that parents should have more involvement in that decision, right? We want to know, hey, Larry, why do you want to sit on the board? Or did he want to sit on the board? And was he actually sought out? Did they go to him and say, hey, Larry, we're going to be needing to fill a position. Are you interested? Right? Because some people say that people are chosen because they will do the bidding of certain individuals here within the city of Yonkers. So it's purposely orchestrated. Right? But we need more people who truly care and are genuine about seeing the schools here in the city do better. Because one of the things we hear all the time, every election, is we're going to improve the schools. I'm going to improve the schools. If you vote for me, I'm going to help improve the schools. I'm going to improve them. They're going to be better because of me. Right? We always hear that, yet we are always talking about the much needed improvements within our school district. So who are we really putting into the board, and are they going to benefit? Are they truly going to be a valuable asset to these schools, Yonkers public schools, right? Again, why aren't there more parents, non-business people, non-attorneys, people with more education experience? And not to say, I want to disqualify those who are not experienced in education, but people obviously who have a background in education will bring the needed knowledge, right, to make proper decisions here. And we need more parent input. I've gone to many school board meetings recently, and they just look disinterested. I think they just like, we have to be here. Just let them say what they need to say. We're done. Get out of here. See you later. And they move on. And it feels like you don't get any real respect. You don't get heard. You're not validated for your feelings or your concerns. And they're often many times not addressed, right? So, I mean, do they really care? These individuals that are put on there, do they really care about what their responsibilities are, or are they on there to beef up their resume, right? Some people say that's a start. You want to put someone in government, in politics, get their name out there, get name recognition, you put them on a board, one that's very visible like the school board. And that's what some people say. Larry Sykes, a man that was suspended from practicing law for a year, right? So also, should we have individuals who have been found guilty or found to be negligent or liable, or by courts, and have had their licenses revoked? He's been suspended. He was once suspended for a year, and according to records or documents I found, engaged in conduct adversely reflecting on his fitness to practice law in violation of Code of Professional Responsibility, DR 1-102A8, right? On October 23rd. And this, I've seen this. I've actually had a personal experience with what this gentleman did to several individuals, actually, right? And what I see here is a guy that cannot be trusted, a corrupt individual. And I'm going to tell you why. On October 23rd of 1991, a woman by the name of Paulette Davis retained Larry Sykes to file a medical malpractice suit against Montefiore Medical Center. He requested an additional $200 after she paid for the retainer to order her medical records, which she did pay, and this was in February of 1992. Now, follow the dates, very important. Then said he would call her after he received the medical records, or after the medical records arrived. So from that period of February 1992 to December of 1993, the woman called him 3 to 4 times to get an update in her case. She finally got in contact with him in December of 93, where he said, "Oh, I never received the medical records. Let me go get them and see what happened." Then he filed the lawsuit in February of 23rd of 1994 2 years after the lady retained them. So guess what happened? They dismissed the lawsuit because of failure to file within a certain amount of time. The statute of limitation had expired. He did this to another individual, right? And I've had a personal experience. My family was assaulted by Yonkers police officers. This was in early 90s. I mean, my grandmother, who was old at the time already, had her wrist broken. It was all women in the home, in the apartment, had her wrist broken. My aunt had a miscarriage. They were all taken to jail, all because of a ticket that my aunt's husband at the time got, and he ripped up and was upset about it and walked in the house. They followed him in and beat everybody up, took everybody to jail, and left all the kids by themselves. Literally, the kids. There were none. I think the oldest maybe like 9 or 8. Left them all by themselves. They went and got an attorney, my family, and he did the same thing. He dragged his feet because that's what they do. They will have an connection to the city, or in this case to Montefiore, and they say, hey, listen, drag your feet. You know how to do this, so they don't get sued. This is what they do. This guy is a scumbag. I'm sorry, scumbag, 1,000%, just based off what I read right here and knowing what happened to my family. That's guy's a scumbag. He did it again. As a result, he lost his license. It was suspended for a year. And then after the suspension, the year, he had to wait 6 months to reapply to have it reinstated, right? So he did that, and obviously he got it reinstated where he continued to practice law. But that's not the only crazy thing that Mr. Larry Sykes was involved in, right? He actually represented a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Longo. And I want to read what I found here on Nicholas Longo, so you can just see what kind of a guy he was, and I'll share it. I'll just read it. I have to share it. I will put all these links in the comments section if you want. Defiant 4. This is what the article on the New York Times was titled. Defiant 4. The councilmen who are blocking the Yonkers housing plan. Nicholas V. Longo. For Nicholas V. Longo, these are heady times. He has been on the Today Show, the CBS This Morning, and radio talk shows around the country. Cameras follow him down the steps of City Hall. In local restaurants, a woman rushed up to him with a $1,000 check for his quote-unquote cause. He's thinking of running for Congress. This is a national issue, said Mr. Longo, said with his trademark ebullience. I'm sorry, whatever. We're putting together a grassroots movement to put the judiciary back in their place. Our message is beware, be vigilant. It could be you tomorrow. Mr. Longo, a Republican who is 46, is the senior councilman. 14 years, is not shy about saying he hopes to capture the nation's attention. Seen as a savvy and powerful, I don't believe Yonkers is a racist city, he said. I don't believe we participated in intentional segregation. Unfortunately, I wasn't the judge. Judges like Sand take away the world, take the world ought to be a Judges like Sand take the way the world ought to be and socially engineer it through court orders. People resent that. Yonkers today, who knows tomorrow? Now he's talking about the fact that the judge ordered, for the schools to be desegregated, as well as the housing, right? Because they found that low-income housing, public housing, was all put into a certain section of Yonkers. But he was defiant. He, along with other council members here in the city of Yonkers, he was a Republican, did not want to change things. He didn't believe Yonkers was racist, and he felt it was just perfectly fine. And guess who represented him? Mr. Larry Sykes, a black man. And I wondered why. But after reading that, I understood. See, some people don't care. They don't care about racism and all these social issues and problems. They only care about one thing. That's making their pockets fatter. And this was a national issue. He saw this as an opportunity to gain national attention as an attorney. Many attorneys do this. They want to jump on big name case that they know will garner national attention so they can get their name up. That's right. They get their name, they get more business. People know who they are. So that's what that was about. He's all about the green. He's not about black. He doesn't care. Although at one point he was the president of the Westchester, Putnam County, and Orange County, I believe it was, Black Republicans, right? The Council of Black Republicans. in Westchester, Putnam and Orange County. So he's a Republican guy, right? He doesn't care about really blacks. He just cares about money. That's what it seems like to me. And this is the gentleman who has been recently appointed to the school board of trustees. Now, how can we trust this guy who obviously does not do right by his clients who retain him for his services? Freddie V for mayor. Thank you. Yay. I appreciate that. Yeah, so how do we trust this individual that he's going to do the right thing by the students, by the parents of the city of Yonkers? And why was he appointed to the board to begin with? This is a gentleman who represented a man who wanted to keep the schools in Yonkers and the housing in Yonkers segregated. He went against the NAACP. The NAACP to represent the Defiant Four. I want to read a little bit about the history really quick of that time period. It's very important. The city of Yonkers, this is from the 1980s. The city of Yonkers is one of the 5 largest cities in the state of New York. Its population, according to the 1980 census figures, is 195,331, which I thought was interesting since we are now at about 213,000, not too far from 1980 census. I thought it would be a lot less back in the 80s, but I guess not. Yonkers is located in Westchester County and is bounded on the west side on the west by the Hudson River, on the east by the Bronx River, and on the south by the city of New York, and on the north of village of Hastings. The city is approximately 3 to 3.5 miles wide, 4 to 6 miles long, and encompasses some 18 to 20 square miles. It is divided lengthwise by a series of ridges and valleys. Over the course of 19th century, Yonkers evolved from what it is primarily a farming village into a significant industrial and commercial center. This development was concentrated in the southwest section of the city, in the areas along and between the Nepperhan Sawmill and Hudson Rivers, and along the Hudson River Railroad, which opened in 1849. Right. So a lot of people went to work in those factories that were located there. You know, they had a lot of, these row houses. You can actually still see them off Nepperhan Avenue there. So it's a lot of, more working people, poor communities. So that's primarily always been that way. Southwest, South Yonkers. Now, the northwest and east section of Yonkers remained largely rural until the 1920s, when the Sawmill River Parkway opened and a pattern of low-density suburban housing development began. The pattern continued to accelerate, which the construction of the Harlem Division Railroad, the Bronx River Parkway, New York State Thruway, and the Spring Parkway, all of which run in a north-south direction and provided commuters with easy access to New York City. So people started to move in that area, and it, a lot of more white people. So the more the poor people and a lot of the black people came to work in the factories, and even Hispanics stayed predominantly in Southwest Yonkers. The extreme concentration of subsidized housing that exists in Southwest Yonkers today is matched by an extreme concentration of the city's 18.8% minority population. Again, this is from the 80s. According to 1980 census figures, Southwest Yonkers accounts for 37.5% of the city's total population. It could be more now, obviously, but contains 80.7% of the city's minority population, which is probably still true to this day. 7 of the Southwest 17 census tracts have a minority population greater than 50%. There's a large minority population here in the city of Yonkers. Absolutely. The last 2 appointees have been African American or Black Americans. Miss Linton. She was Rosemary Linton. She replaced Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, who went on to become city council president. And now you have Mr. Larry Sykes, who is replacing Andrea Brown, who is also an African-American woman here on the school board. I did just want to read something really quick. That wasn't actually it, but I just want to go over, and I will share that, where the gentleman represented the guy, Nicholas Longo, right, in that case. Actually, I got it right here. He represented him. So it's crazy. And I just said, this guy is representing, and he wants to keep the segregation. He's representing people, and he's Black. But then I started to read more about him, and I realized that it is just about money. It's just about money with that guy. So can this guy be trusted on the board of trustees? Why was he appointed? We obviously see what this guy's about, right? And you see what he's done to clients who've retained him. This poor woman who paid him and paid him an additional $200 to get some medical records, which he never got, delayed her case on purpose. So she wouldn't have, she wouldn't be able to sue. It was dismissed based on, the statute of limitations. He did the same thing to another individual who paid him $350, took the money, did nothing. Then he failed to appear in the grievance committees when they tried to mediate it, had referees. He failed to provide any evidence. And as a result, he lost his license for a year. So should someone like that be allowed to sit on the school board of trustees? Someone who sided with the individuals in the desegregation case here in the city of Yonkers, the individuals who wanted to keep it segregated? I don't know. You tell me, guys. I just share the information, and I let you guys make the opinions and the decision. But I don't think this guy should be on there. I think maybe that should be reconsidered. And I think we should really think about how our school board, or how the school board members are appointed. Maybe we should start to fight to be able to vote for these appointees, like many other school districts, like the school districts that went optional with the mask as soon as the Supreme Court ruled it to be unconstitutional and illegal. Different was, those school board members are voted in by the parents. They are elected, not appointed. So mayoral controlled board is what we have here. They control everything, the appointees and including the school budget. So maybe we ought to start to think about that and see if we can petition to change that here in the city of Yonkers. So that way we can have more say in who are the individuals that are appointed. We can vet them more and ask them, why do you want to sit on the board? What is it about the school board, this position, that interests you, that you want to be on it? You're an attorney. You're very busy. I know if he's like my attorney, constantly in court, right? Hard to get a meeting with him sometimes. How are you going to give the time to do the best possible job? You have no kids that currently attend the school board. You're in your 70s. Don't want to age discriminate, but times have changed. Times have changed. They've been desegregated now, Larry. The schools have been desegregated, but housing has not. And housing has not, as you can see by all the developments of low income to affordable housing going up on Ashburton, Warburton, Elm Street, but none are going up on the water, and the housing ordinance was not increased, thereby limiting the amount of low income, or I should say affordable housing units, not low income, affordable housing units that they have in those luxury market, or I should say luxury developments there on the water. Because they said, no, we're going to build affordable housing, all new, or we're going to rehab the ones that are existing, like Tasha Diaz wanted. That's why she helped kill the possibility of increasing the ordinance. And by the way, another interesting thing, Larry Sykes was involved in the case with Tasha Diaz. That's right. Tasha Diaz, who was represented at the time, this is 2019, by Michael Calvi, the mayor's brother-in-law, when she challenged the signatures of her opponent. The Democratic committee chair at the time, or a member of the Democratic committee at the time, was represented by Larry Sykes. Interesting. Again, these are the same individuals constantly being recycled. Larry Sykes, it seems like to me, you are a pay-to-play type of guy. I represent Nicholas Longo, who cares about desegregating the schools. So what if I'm a black man? Only color I see is green. Then he goes on to screw clients and lose his law license. Is this an individual we want in our school board of trustees? Because he cannot be trusted. And that's my show for today, folks. We need to think about the individuals who are appointed, and if they are individuals like Mr. Sykes, who also represents, or at one point represented, was general counsel to the YIDA, the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency, also the Community Development Agency, and other boards. He's been an attorney for people in the city of Yonkers, including the infamous Nicholas Longo, one of the Defiant Four who fought to keep our schools and housing segregated because he saw nothing wrong with it. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. We need to speak out against these folks, especially those who wanted the mask mandates to be optional, those who went to the school board meetings and fought hard against the mandates. You have to fight also against certain appointments like this, because these are the individuals that are going to do what officials want and not what the parents want. And I can guarantee you that. Have a good night, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Thank you for joining me once again. I appreciate you, as always. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you very much. I care about the schools. I do. And we have to improve the schools, but we have to improve the individuals that manage our schools and make these important decisions. I have 2 kids in the Yonkers Public School. I am very vested. I have a real interest in it. And I am going to always speak up. And I hope you join me. Thank you so much. Enjoy your night. Peace out. That's my show. What's no.
Let's get it poppin'.
Yeah. There we go. People love that. People love that. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Oh yeah, thank you. And I appreciate that, Mary. And that's why I do the show. And sometimes I may get certain things wrong, but I will correct myself right away. But I'm learning also with you guys, so continue to learn with me. And if you have any topics or anything that you feel would be of interest or that you want to know more about, you want to see discussed, please let me know. Write to me, politics with Fred. I'm sorry, you can use either one, but politicwithfred@gmail.com. politicwithfred@gmail.com. Let me know if there's a topic, something of interest that you would like me to look into, to speak about on the podcast. I will definitely do that and then speak about it on the podcast. All right. So I appreciate all your guys' comments, text messages, everything that I get from you guys, the participation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. I love you guys. Yonkers. We're going to get great. We're going to be great. Don't worry. And I'm not talking about Donald Trump great. I'm talking about Yonkers great. Our great. Have a great night. Thank you.
I was raised in housing.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I was raised in housing.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No!
Freddie wins.
I was raised in housing. Let's get it poppin'. Let's get it poppin'.
You're watching.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers Public Schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
I was raised